Robcast, dopeYEAH, Simon McBride, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I was just thinking before we kind of came on air that it's very interesting how one person can change your destiny. And I was thinking about you and Don Airey, of all people, because Don had a big influence on you actually getting into Deep Purple.
Yeah, I've known Don for such a long time, and it's funny with Don, he came at a point in my life where I was on the verge of just maybe packing it in.
Wow.
Because, a struggling musician, being from Belfast, and there was not a lot happening back home, and there was not a lot happening. I was doing my own thing and I was touring, but it's tough.
Sure.
And so it gets to that stage. It's like, well, how much more money can I pump into my own career? And I just couldn't see any sort of light at the end of the tunnel. But I remember PRS Guitars, this company I used their guitars, and Gavin, the owner, he phoned me one day saying that Don Airey was on the phone looking for somebody to open his little charity festival in his own little town. And I was like, okay, wow. So I flew over and I did that, and Don just got two musicians to back me. I'd never met the two guys. It was John Finnegan and Alex Meadows, bass player and drummer. And I went up and I just did my thing. I played, and then I was back at Don's house, and we just seemed to get on very, very, very well. And next thing he said to me, well, do you want to come play on my record? And he was doing a new record. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. Yes, I'd love to. And so, yeah, I did that. And then I ended up doing the tours with Don and his own solo stuff. And through that, then I ended up playing with Ian Gillan on one of his tours in 2016, I believe. So...
was that with the full orchestra as well?
Yes, that was the full orchestra. It was basically, we played all around Europe, and there was a different orchestra for each territory. And but that was amazing too. So, and then that, long story cut short, but basically here I am in Purple, So basically, when I was playing with Gillan, I played with Don. I played with Roger once before, and I played with Pacey before, but I just never played with the guys all at the same time over these years of just like each time. So, and I remember when the opportunity came up for, the Purple gig, Don had no question of who he wanted to replace Steve, and Gillan was the same. He was like, it's an easy decision for me. So I think because, I knew them, I'd got on with them, I played with them before, and I wasn't too young. It's the guys are, a bit older than me, and I think that the age gap, it works. If I was like in my 30s, I don't think it would have worked, because the sense of humour and different era, and but we all get on really, really well now. So, but Don, he was kind of like my saviour in music a lot. I have basically a lot of things to thank him for, so
kind of a mentor as well.
Yes, I learned so much from that man, musically and just in general life, and how to deal with things and that, and because musically it was very funny. I remember the first time I went over to rehearse with him, and he had Darren Mooney and Lawrence Cottle. Lawrence is one of the top bass players in Europe, basically, and Darren Mooney, he played for Gary Moore, and so did Lawrence Cottle. And so I'm walking into this room, I mean like a tiny room, it's like half the size of this, and Don's got his full, Leslie system going, and Darren's there, and Lawrence, and I'm going, this is basically Gary Moore's band. Oh, crap.
Amazing.
So I was like going, okay, no pressure or anything, nothing to live up to, oh God. So yeah, and then it was great. I did my homework, as being a professional musician. That's what you do. You do your homework, you learn the stuff, you go in, and nothing should be a problem. And yeah, it was really, really good. He's been amazing to me over the years. And but musically, that point, playing with those guys, it was like somebody hit me in the back of the head. It's like, God, this this is intense, you know, because I played with a lot of great musicians from back home, but not at that level.
Sure.
You know, and playing with guys at that level, that for me was like, whoa, okay, I instantly needed to bring my game from here to here.
Well, let's be honest, one of the greatest rock bands in the history of music.
Yeah.
And you were the guitar player.
I know, it's still weird to even see my name attached to Deep Purple. It's crazy, you know, because it's a situation now, you know, we're all great friends, and I feel like I've been there for a long time, and but it's still weird. So it's when I first joined, I was just in denial for about a year, and but now having, you know, done 2 records, and it's like, okay, I'm slowly starting to feel, okay, I'm part of this thing now, you know.
It's not a dream.
No, it's not a dream, you know. And, you know, I've got to play all over the world, and, you know, we're still touring. And then, you know, we've about, this year, I think with about 96 shows or something like that in the diary to do. And there's stuff already in for next year as well. So there's, you know, the guys we have no intention of stopping, you know, and I have no intention because I'm only, 46, nearly 47. You know, the guys are in their, Gillen's 80, and they're still going, and they still want to go, you know, which is the great thing, you know. I really hope when I'm that age that I still have that drive and that desire to play music, you know, so it's incredible.
Just to remind you guys to please remember to subscribe and hit that bell button so you don't miss any new episodes. It means a lot to us.
Legend has it took you 40 minutes to learn the set.
Well, I don't know.
What took you so long?
I know I should have done it in 30 minutes, but, well, you know, there's the thing is with the Purple stuff, it's not overly complicated, but that's the beauty of it, and that's why it was so successful. Like, you know, Smoking Water's 3 chords, really, but the more, you know, like all the great songs, like even Perfect Strangers, it's 2 or 3 chords, so it's like, it is quite simple. But I remember learning this stuff, and I always remember hearing this rumor that, you know, the guitar was always panned to the left and the keys were always panned to the right. So I did that. I went on and I just panned everything to the left, and it's true. All I could hear was Ritchie, and I was like, so it was dead easy for me to, you know, hear it and pick up.
Sure.
And you know, ever since I was a kid, I've always learned how to play the guitar just by using my ear. So I am very quick at picking up stuff, you know, just by listening to something. I could nearly pick up something instantly, you know, if it's not too complicated. But yeah, it wasn't that there was a few tricky bits, obviously, but, you know, and, you know, as they said, you know, they played those songs for, 30, 40 years or whatever now, and so they've evolved a little bit. So when you go to a rehearsal and it's like, I'm playing the way Ritchie played it, no, it's evolved since that, it's changed. And I go, okay, can you show me it? And Don's brilliant. Don will show me it. Say it's a fast run. He'll show me at full speed. I say, can you slow it down? And he goes, okay. I stop, and then he plays it at full speed again. I go, oh, okay. So it's always a bit of a challenge, but it's.
What do you feel is the greatest challenge about joining a band like Deep Purple?
The greatest challenge is basically you just have to. It's just being yourself and not worrying or trying to be what was before.
Okay.
You know, there's such a history with Purple, you know, the guitarists in that band. Like you had Ritchie, Blackmore, Tommy Bolin, Joe Satriani, and Steve Morse. And there's always this thing, you say to yourself, do I try to sound like Ritchie or anybody else? You know, because that will be, I've seen guys doing, you know, getting up and playing, and they all try to sound like Ritchie. And I was going, it's being comfortable with your own playing and your own technique and your own ability is just to go, no, that's great, but unfortunately I sound like me. No matter how much I try to sound like Ritchie or Steve, I will never be able to play like them. I can only play like me. And so that's the biggest challenge, is getting across that barrier of going, just do your thing. And the guys were amazing because that's what they wanted. They didn't want another Steve or Ritchie or Tommy. They wanted me for what I do. And they made it so much easier for me to play. Because I remember I was talking to Don about it, because I was getting a bit stressed the first, you know, few shows. Well, I don't know what to play. I should do it like this, a bit more like Ritchie. And Don just says, stuff all that crap. Just be yourself. Forget about it. Just, obviously you play the riffs and what's there. Like there's certain iconic things within, like a Highway Star. I can't play anything but the solo Ritchie does because it's an iconic piece of music in itself. And but everything else, just be myself and do what I want, because that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to be a Steve Morse clone or a Ritchie Blackmore clone. I wouldn't know how to. They're incredible players and incredible musicians and creators in their own right. I just have to be myself. That's the biggest challenge I find. But I overcame it pretty quickly, because with the help from the guys, they're making me feel so comfortable.
And your face has to fit as well, though, doesn't it? I mean, the whole thing, the dynamic of being on the road with people.
Yeah, it's
you have to have the right temperament. Then you obviously have.
Yeah, well, I'm very easygoing, I don't really stress about anything, which annoys the hell out of my wife, and I don't stress about nothing. And
good for you.
Because I'm just going, life's too short. What's the point? Nothing. Stressing about something will only affect me, not affect anybody else. But so I think that helped a lot with the band. I just come in, and all I wanted to do was have fun and play music, and the guys really, responded to that, and I think it brought back memories of the way it used to be for them. Okay, this is fresh blood in the band, and so I have no airs or graces about myself or my playing. I just play the guitar, and that I think that's what they like. Now, I think if I come in and I had an ego, or I think Deep Purple would be finished. It would be,
right.
It wouldn't work because they've been in the game too long. They're not interested in any of that nonsense. So, and because at the end of the day, all I am is a guitar player. I'm not a rocket scientist or something special. I'm just a guitarist, So, and that's why I always think about it. I just go in, do what I'm here to do, and that's it.
Do you remember the first show you did with the guys?
Oh yes.
Where was it?
It was in Tel Aviv, and I remember. I don't normally get nervous for shows. I think when I was 13, when I did my first show, I was a bit nervous, but never. I'm not a nervous person because I believe nerves come from being unprepared for something, So I'm always 120% prepared for everything, and but I remember in Tel Aviv sitting backstage, and it was about 15 minutes till showtime, and then bam! I was like, oh crap! And bear in mind, I hadn't done a gig because prior to this was COVID, so I hadn't done a gig in 3 years.
Surreal.
So my first gig was with Deep Purple in front of 10,000-12,000 people in this huge arena, and I was going, oh no, Jesus, oh God, oh my God, because I remember the first song. It's always Highway Star we start with, and we come in, we usually hit a big G chord or whatever, and a little ruckus bass he does with the drums, and then basically does the little train beat kind of shuffle thing, and then it's usually me and Don come in with the big chords. And I remember standing there just looking around me, and all I can hear is this screaming. It started out very faint, and then I felt it just getting louder and louder and louder. It was like, Simon, Simon, Simon. And I was like, well, start the goddamn song. Oh shit, Rich. And I was just going, oh.
Rabbit in the headlights.
Yeah. And so, but after that I was fine, after
Baptism of fire.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, what the hell, this is Deep Purple, and I'm standing up here, a little guy from Belfast, is mad, to think about.
And what's the most challenging song to play at the set, do you think?
The most challenging ones, generally the most challenging ones are the simple ones, like Smoke and Water.
Right.
People always say, oh, it's easy. Mm-hmm. It is easy, technically, but it's not easy to play. It's like any of this stuff. It's how you...
It's that shuffle, isn't it?
Well, it's the delivery, it's the force of how you play it, it's your timing, it's what not to play. A lot of guitar players, when they play the riff of Smoke and Water, they play it like a guitarist. They want to add stuff to it, they want to vibrato it, they want to do this. But the beauty of the riff of Smoke and Water is its simplicity. It's bam, bam, bam. That's all you have to do. So being disciplined enough just don't play anything else, just what's there. And because when you're standing there and I start the riff, and then Dawn joins me, and then Roger joins me, and then, you know, it's just like, it's this explosion of power comes out, which you would not get if I was fiddling around with it, or Dawn was. It's just, you know, the four of us just doing this riff, and it's like, oh God, here we go, you know. So it's, you know, technical stuff is, believe it or not, is easier to play than the simple stuff. That's what I always find. It's the simple stuff. It's the hardest stuff in the world to nail, because it's not about the technique. It's the delivery of how you do it. I've seen bands play Rage Against the Machine stuff, and technically it's amazing, but it sounds god awful. You know, because the guys in Rage Against the Machine, they just have this way of playing that's nothing is perfect.
Sure.
And it's those inconsistencies which make these players great. You know, same with all those bands from the 70s, Purple and that. And nobody was perfect, and which gives them that feel, that drive. You know, it's like if you look at drummers, like look at the drummer from Queen, and he when he was playing, every time he hit a snare drum, he couldn't keep the hi-hat closed. But it became his thing, it became his sound, and that's what, you know, it's like Charlie Watts from Rolling Stones. He couldn't hit the hi-hat and snare at the same time, so it's always like... But you listen to it, and you hear a drummer play it correctly, it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's that inconsistency, that little mistake that makes you know, makes them have their own sort of their style, if you want to call it.
Steve Morse was originally only going to leave the band for a while. I mean, because obviously his wife was very sadly ill. So did you have any conversations with Steve about your role and how to sort of fit into his position at the time, at the very beginning, or was that not something that happened?
Not really. Steve was very cool to me, very nice to me. I only really spoke to him over email, and he was very helpful. Anything I wanted, anything I needed, you know, just anything at all. He was very, very cool that way. So I never really had any conversations with him, but I would love to meet him, because, you know, he's Steve Morse, he's one of the greats. And but yeah, he was great. You know, for the first, you know, while the first couple of tours, I used all his rig and stuff. I used my own guitars and, you know, pedal board and stuff like that. But all his amps, no issues, no problems. So it was all good. So I couldn't say a bad word about Steve at all. You know, he's a great person, you know, and great player. And because I remember watching him doing all the old in his heyday when he was a kid. It just blew my mind what he was able to play, you know.
Yeah,
and,
he's great.
Incredible. But great guy, you know, he really made it easy for me, you know, no issues at all, which was good, you know.
So what was your favourite Deep Purple album growing up?
Probably have to say Machine Head. Or, it's hard to say. It's Machine Head, or there's, you know, in rock or whatever. It's got to be those two. You know, because they have all the classic songs on there. You know, and there's. But I do like a lot of the stuff they've done with Steve as well. You know, there's some really cool stuff. It's different to the Ritchie days, which is what I like about it. Steve wasn't a Ritchie clone, you know, and Steve just played like Steve did, and it was a different twist on Deep Purple. So it was kind of very cool, because I had that sound of Deep Purple with, you know, John Lord and Pacey and Gillan and Roger, and then obviously with Dawn coming as well. I still had that sound, but this little different twist to it with Steve's kind of background, because Steve obviously comes from more of that country kind of rock background. And but yeah, you know, I love it's the earlier stuff that we like, but the best album is the new one, which I did.
Of course.
Of course. I have to say that, you know.
So can you remember when you were finally announced as the guitar player, like the permanent role that you are now the guitar player in Deep Purple? Did it just evolve into that decision, or was it someone said, Simon, you're in the band here, like you are the guitar player for Deep Purple?
Well, it was kind of I really got an email from the manager, and it was weird. I you know, my first couple of shows were in 2022, and I got a call from the manager looking me to step in for Steve initially, and you know, me being me, I just went, okay, this is going to be good fun. I'll go to the shows and come back home, and then that's it. I'm done.
Sure.
You know, so I never thought anything of it. And then there was another tour in July of that year, which Steve couldn't do. But again, I was called in. You know, they were still hoping Steve would do it, but then his wife just got worse, and so he couldn't leave. And so it got to the stage where, you know, it was just very impossible for Steve to tour or do anything, because he was in that land of his wife was very, very ill, and he had to just stay there, be at home. And but the guys, so Steve couldn't commit to anything really, you know, gigs or, you know, at the present and in future. So there was a hard decision had to be made. And but I remember it was somewhere in Germany. I was sitting in, because I seen the manager. He flew over. I was like, and he never flies over. He lives in the Cayman Islands or somewhere, but and he never flies over. And I said, what's going on here? But you know, okay, that's strange. And but yeah, that was all. They all had a meeting, and you know, the decision was, you know, Steve was leaving, and so they needed somebody else, and I know Don, because they didn't tell me that day that they made the decision, but Don was in the bar with me, and he was just drinking pints, and he was happy as Larry, going, he's celebrating something going on. I don't know what's going on, and because you know. Don and me are great friends, and he, you know,
He was happy for you.
He was happy for me to get in, and but yeah, but that's so I just really got an email the next day, basically asked me did I want to be part of it, and I nearly wrote back as a joke saying
I'll have to think about
I'll
it.
have to think about it. Yeah, but it's a funny thing that it was later on that day, I think it was in the airport, in a bar, and Gillen sitting beside me, and he just said to me, I'm going to swear here, by the way, but he just says, are you in the fucking band or what? I was like, aye, cheers, all right. And that was really it, you know, and that was the seal of approval done, you know,
Because it's a big move in so many ways. Like even on a business level, you know, you come in as a partner in the band and all that entails. So it's life changing. You're just not the guy who's in there for a while, who's getting paid whatever fees getting paid. You're a proper member of the band. So on a lot of levels, emotionally, and as a way of making a living, elevating yourself to that other level. That's very exciting to know that you're in one of the most famous rock bands in the world.
Yeah, it was life changing, you know, especially since I came out of this, like we all were in this hole of nothing, you know, nothing was happening over COVID or whatever, and music, I thought, that's it, music's dead. To the point of, I remember even I applied at a job in Asda, you know, I was shocked. I didn't get it. Wasn't qualified enough. And because nothing was happening, everything was dead, and then all of a sudden, put in this scenario, and I was like, and it just shows you, like, you know, you just never give up on this sort of thing, you know, because it's all I've done since I was a kid. Since I was 9 years old, all I've done is play guitar, and I've done lots of various things over the years, and as I said to you, you know, there's been ups and downs where at points I've thought, I just can't do this anymore, but you never ever give up, and you just, because you don't know what's around the corner, you just never know, and all of a sudden I'm elevated into this situation where I'm not broke, I'm not poor anymore, and I'm in one of the biggest rock bands, one of the most iconic rock bands of all time. It
is mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. It's an amazing feeling, and you know, it's...
well, you deserve it.
Well, I
say.
appreciate
you know, I think
that.
you're
Thank
an
you very
incredible
much.
player, and you deserve every second of it.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
And that's coming from the heart. That I'd like to go back to the very beginning. So because you were exceptionally good at guitar from a very early age. I mean, I know you could play, we were talking about it yesterday, but you know, you could play Eruption at 9 or 10 on the guitar. I mean, I think you picked up your dad's dopeYEAH guitar. So he had a guitar at home lying about. I mean, so can you remember the first time you picked it up? I know that's a long time ago, but can you remember the feeling of, I like this? Was it a natural fit for you instantly when you started playing it? Did you get a feeling with it?
From memory, I think so, because, well, my dad, you know, he had this guitar lying around the house. There was no dopeYEAH Strat, which I really wish I had never got rid of.
Good guitars.
Oh, they're amazing, you know, especially the ones from years ago. They were really good. But anyway, it's gone.
Anyone out there who has it, maybe sell it back to Simon.
Give me it back. I'll buy it back.
You never know.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember it sitting there because my dad is a huge fan of music, rock music, all types of music, but also there was always music playing in our house, you know.
Well, anything in particular?
Everything. There was, like, he was a huge Hendrix fan, Purple, Zeppelin, all of that. He loved it all. And so music was always going on in my house. And he wanted to play guitar for himself, but he couldn't because when he was a kid, he had an accident and cut his tendons in his hand or whatever. So it was very difficult. So it was kind of lying around. And but when he used to go to work, he's sneaking and just do it, you know, an 8-year-old kid does, just make a lot of noise and racket. And I thought, this is cool. You know, I was thinking, I'm a rock star. Yeah, look at this, you know. And but then there was a little book, and it was just a little book of little simple things, like you learn how to play Green Sleeves or Black Sheep, I don't know, whatever. And I was like, and I could sort of figure it out what was written down and transpose it on the guitar. And but it was funny because I remember my dad caught me one day playing this stuff, and he's going, "You learned that yourself? You picked that up?" And I was like, "Yes." Don't shout at me, you know. And he's like, "No, that's great." So he then really encouraged me, and you know, he got me bought me all types of music, and you know, and really just helped me with being the player.
As much as possible.
And he bought me everything I wanted, you know, not as much as you know he could possibly afford at that time. So education books and all these different artists he was trying to introduce me to play and trying to learn from it. And for me as a player, I believe there's two types of player in this world. There's one who's got a natural ability, and there's one who just has to work at it. But both get to the same place, just one has to work a bit harder. I always believed I had that natural thing, just simply because I was able to pick things up very, very quickly. You know, as you said, like I was on TV playing Van Halen's Eruption when I was 11, and I only started when I was 9. You know, so that was, even for me, I was going, wow, that's pretty, how the hell did I do that? And I used to pick, and then I started learning like Satriani stuff or even Steve Vai stuff, because I grew up in that period of time. And so everything came quite easy, you know, which I'm very lucky to sort of have that ability.
Did you try any other instruments before the guitar when you were younger?
No, I didn't.
No piano or?
No, I tried all those later on and failed. But yeah, no. So guitar has always been my thing. I always just, as soon as I picked it up, I didn't want to put it down. You know, always, every time we went to work, straight in there, playing it, you know.
So what, Satriani and Vai were kind of your heroes at the time?
Yeah, at that time
Gary Moore a bit as well. Maybe.
Well, that was my first gig, Gary Moore. My dad took me to see Gary Moore in the King's Hall, and it was around that time he was doing the After the War tour.
Fabulous, yeah.
And there's like 11-year-old me standing there going, that's what I want to do. That, because we had the
that
big,
was the seminal moment.
That was the time. You know, I was already playing.
Kind of lightning bolt.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to do that. Wow. You know, and because it was that great period of time in music where, you know, the big stages and, you know, light shows, the fireworks, pyrotechnics, whatever you wanted to go. And Gary was just unbelievable. As you know, he's one of my favorite players of all time. And but yeah, that was the moment. I went, I have to do this. This is what I want to do.
And did you practice a lot as a kid?
Yeah. I never had a life when I was a kid. I used to practice 8-9 hours a day, you know.
So you had natural ability, but, you know, that's not enough just to have natural ability.
No, you could have the natural ability, but it's that, it's not like I didn't want to practice 8-9 hours a day. I wanted to play. I wanted to do it. I just wanted to play 8. I just didn't want to stop. And
what did you practice?
I absorbed
Scales
everything. I learned. I did theory stuff, but a lot of the time I learned how to. I did things backwards. I learned how to play the guitar first, like so I could play. I learned everything that Satriani did, everything Gary Moore did, Steve Vai. Some of it was a bit. This is just a bit beyond me, but I tried, and I was just like a sponge. I wanted to learn everything. I had no clue what I was playing though. I was playing all this mad scale stuff. I didn't know what scale it was. I was,
sure.
You know, I hadn't a clue. So I went later on. I started to figure out what the hell am I playing. you know, and that's when I learned a lot of the theory. Because I think when I got older, I had more of the temperament and the patience to work at it. Because when you're a kid, all you want to do is play. You know, not interested in learning, you know, the Lydian mode or the Dorian, whatever. Or, you know, it's you just want to play the guitar. But yeah, it's I just learned off everybody, Van Halen, you know, Motley Crue, everything, all that.
Had you got one particular album you got obsessed with when you were a kid?
Yeah, it was probably Surfing with the Alien. I was obsessed with that. I learned everything on it, every single note, you know, and because you know that time Satch was huge, you know, and that was his breakthrough album, and it was incredible because it was groundbreaking, sorry, and nobody was doing that sort of thing. It was just like, wow, this is unbelievable, but I remember one point my dad. He said to me, we were in a record shop. I think it was the Gramophone store or something in Belfast. It's not there anymore, but it was when you used to have CD and record stores back in the day. And there was a choice between Satriani or Yngwie Malmsteen, Rising Force or Surfing the Alien. I was like, I didn't know who they were. I didn't have a clue. I said, well, I'll go that one. I like the cover on it because it's the alien. I go that one. And I'm so glad I did. No, I have nothing against Yngwie. He's incredible. And I grew to love that other album later on, Rising Force. And it's amazing. He's an amazing player. But for me, personally, I preferred the more Satriani, the more kind of bluesier roots thing. You know, that was just always my thing, really. So,
did you ever listen to Rory Gallagher when you were a kid? Did you?
Not really. This is the thing. People always think that I, you know, because I'm, you know, live on the same island that Rory was from. You know,
and known for being a blues player as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that I didn't like Rory. He just never was on my radar. As I said, I grew up in that 80s rock thing.
Sure.
So I was like, you know, as I said, Satriani, Van Halen, Gary Moore, Paul Gilbert, all of that. You know, that's where I was. Where Rory was. I knew who he was, but it never really was my thing. I appreciate he was an amazing player, you know, and but yeah, not really on my radar. And you know, I should really listen to more Rory stuff, but it's getting time to listen to anything these days. It's difficult with two kids.
Did you have a guitar teacher, like mentor teacher, when you were a kid, or was it all self-taught?
To be honest, I had a few guys show me a few things over the years. You know, when I was a kid, a few guys showed me a few riffs and stuff like that.
But no consistent lessons.
No, not really. I had a guy who was showing me through some theory for a while, but in regards of how to play, I just taught myself. Self-taught, you know, because I always used to, you know, whatever it was, a cassette tape, burn out the cassette tapes, just trying to figure out this stuff. And I learned by ear mostly, you know, and my dad did buy, when tablature books came in, started buying me some of that stuff. So that was a help towards it. But I'm a firm believer, the way I learned was probably the best way to learn any instrument is using your ear, because now when I'm on stage, if I get into a tricky situation where
adapt.
I can just go, change and adapt, and you know, I can hear what's coming next, or even like there's sometimes when you're on stage and I play a guitar solo, like I kind of lose focus and go, I don't know what key I'm in here, and then I just go, but it's that experience of using my ear. Okay, you hear a note, okay, I know where the next note should be, just judging by the sound of the melodies or the chord is going on. So it's happened a few times. That's a few hairy situations, but sometimes that happens when you're on stage. You just lose focus just for a moment, and you go, "Oh God, whoa, what key am I in here? Oh crap!" Right. So
you have to find a way out.
Yeah, you have to find your way out of it. So
it's like classical players, you know, like the most dreaded word is like improvise. You know, they get like terrified by that word because they're not programmed that way, you know, to react to.
No.
You know, they want to see the dots on the sheet, you know.
And that's incredible what they do. I've done.
I mean, I've worked at Abbey Road, as you know, as a producer there, and I spoke to the string sections. I would say to them, "So what are you guys doing today?" I said, "I don't know, just read the charts."
Yeah.
You know, they don't even look at, just go in and they read it from and it's amazing. And then it's just next session. Yeah. But they don't even rehearse it beforehand. They just look at the chart, do it next session, you know?
Yeah, I've done a few things. I remember doing, funny enough, the one and only theatre show I ever did was Jesus Christ Superstar. And I said to the guy, I says, you're going to have to send me the charts at least 3 months in advance if you want me to do this, because I'm not a reader. I can read the dots and I can, but I can't just sit and say read it. And I remember that, you know, you go in and these guys just turn up, never, just, what's this? Oh, yeah. I go, how do you do that? That is an art in itself of being able to do that, really. You know, first of all is understanding what the notes are, reading it in time, and then playing it at the same time. It's like, oh.
I know we had Steve Gadd on the show recently, and he was telling us about the Chick Corea sessions and some of the Al Di Meola stuff. We've had Al Di Meola on the show as well, and he was saying that, you know, he would have the charts all over the studio, and he said, lucky he was young and his eyesight was good, because sometimes the charts were like, he was kind of watching the charts, reading the charts from a distance and trying, but you know, a lot of times one take. You know, just reading the chart. He was amazing. Greatest drummers of all time. And Al Di Meola as well is a fantastic reader as well. Can just read a chart, give him a chart and you can read his.
Well, I think there's a lot of those guys, you know, even like, you know, likes the guitarists like Lukather and stuff. You know, they were hard. Obviously, they could read the charts, but they were hard for their creativity, especially with Gadd as well. His creativity is unbelievable. Some of the drum grooves he comes up with, just, but that's so, reading the chart is like, it's more like a guide than anything, I think, for a lot of them. You know, they're brought in to just go, we want you to, what are you going to play in this? You know, here's what it's written, but feel free to adapt.
You're friends with Lukather, aren't you?
Yeah, that's bizarre too, because like, if you were to ask me who's the greatest guitar player of all time, I'd say Steve Lukather. Yeah, and it's funny that I'm friends with him now, because after, you know, when I went through the whole Satriani and Vai phase, and I discovered Steve, and I just went, who the hell is this dude? This is unbelievable. The guy is, for me, is just, like, personally, I know everybody has their own favourite. Like, I could list a whole list of guitarists who are amazing and brilliant. For me, personally, I just think he's the greatest. Just because it's what he plays on the guitar.
And the breadth of what he's done is huge, like the Michael Jackson stuff.
Yeah, everything. Like I remember once standing in a fuel station back home, and they had music playing, and the solo come on, and went, that's Steve. I didn't know who the artist was, but I knew Steve because it's just the way he phrases things, and he just knows what to play all the time. And I don't think I've ever heard him play anything bad. You know, I remember seeing him there last year, and it was like the first show of Toto's tour, and he was saying to me, yeah, it was all right. It was a bit ropey and a bit shit and that. And I just texted back, go, Steve, your version is shit as everybody else's genius. And he's like, yeah, okay, appreciate it. But you know, he's that's funny thing when that's how my life has changed in the last 3-4 years, is going to having you know Satriani as your mate, Lukather as your
meeting your heroes.
Yeah, but also becoming, you know, but at the end of the day, we're all just human beings. We're just people. They're just, you know, everybody's held up in this pedestal and they're idols. But when you speak to them, they're just normal dudes. It's like you can sit and have a conversation about anything, you know, with them, you know. So, and but yeah, Steve's a great guy.
And so you won Guitar Player of the Year when you were 15.
Yeah.
Was that something that moved the needle as well for you?
Yes and no. At the time, nothing ever really happened. I won it, and that was it. But people are still talking about it all these years later, you know, 20-odd years later, 25 years later or something like that. No, I'm not that old, am I? No, whatever, but, you know, so it's still a talking point. So in a way, yes, it's a good thing to have as part of my CV, but it never really did anything for me at the time, career-wise. You know, I remember I won it.
You won a rubbish guitar as well, didn't you?
I remember standing on stage with this Paul Reed Smith. He had made me this beautiful guitar. It was like a royal blue, you know, really heavily quilted maple top, you know, custom 24. Unbelievable guitar, stunning. And I was playing this on the final, and I won. And they walked out with this hideous thing. I mean, like the most hideous guitar you've ever seen. Like, it was a company called JJ Huck or something. And it was like one of these weird shapes with big pointy things down here with the dodgiest picture of the Grim Reaper on it. And I was standing there with this beautiful PRS looking at this thing going, what happens if you get second? You get two of these? It's like, oh, but yeah, it was the way.
So how did you meet? Because you met Paul Smith before that competition. Where did you meet him? Because you used to be like 15 when you met him or something, or 14, 15?
Yeah. Well, I was. See, this is my dad brought me to a lot of the trade shows in England. So it started out. I met a guy in Belfast. He was playing for Marshall, a guy called Jeff Whitehorn. Jeff's amazing guitar player. He plays with everybody, Crawler, Paul Rogers, lots of artists and stuff. And we became very friendly with Jeff. And he was at the time was demonstrating for Marshall. So I used to always go over, and my dad bring me over, and I would get up and guest with Jeff on the Marshall stand or whatever. Or they always had a big room, so and it was a full band. I remember the drummer was a guy called John Lingwood, and Jeff. But he used to get me up to play, and that was great. And that's how I met Paul, because he was at one of these shows, and I think he felt sorry for me because he seen the guitar I was playing, and he says, "I have to make you a guitar. Get rid of that thing." It was it was a custom thing I got done back home, but it wasn't the best guitars. But it's all we could afford, and so he made me my PRS, which I got when I was 14, 15, or something like that. So
he obviously saw early doors how good you were.
Yeah,
these guys don't make guitars for just anybody. Come on.
No, they don't. And I've been very lucky that way. I've been with Paul for right up to this day, and he's still very, very good to me. He's always sending me stuff to try and do different things, and nothing is ever a problem if I need something. Like when I joined Purple, he says, "Well, what do you need?" I says, "I need 9 guitars." And he's like, "Okay, take it." And
so you've never had a dalliance with Gibson or Fender?
I think I've played. I always get. It's a funny thing because obviously with Purple, a lot of the things I get on social media are you should play a Strat, and I'm going. Strats are great, and I appreciate it, but there's so much stigma and history attached to Fender Stratocaster, and so much competition. So once I put on a Strat, you're immediately being compared to Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Clapton even, and all the players play Strats. And I'm going, for one, I'm happy playing PRS, and two, I don't want to be another Strat player. I want to be me. And I'm with PRS, it's like the guitars are so good, they allow me to be me. Because at the end of the day, if I plugged in to say, "Steve, look at this rig," I'll still sound like me.
Sure.
But if you don't have the right tool to allow you to do that, then it makes it very difficult. Because I remember people always used to say, "Oh, I like to fight with the guitar," and I'm going, I don't like to fight with a guitar. I want it to make my life easy, So, but I've tried Gibsons and stuff in the past, and they're all great guitars. Like I have Strats at home, I have Tellys, but for me, because I've played them for so long now, and it's like PRS is home. If I pick up a PRS, I'm at ease, when I play, and but yeah,
it's been a great relationship with you and PRS, basically.
Yeah, they there's companies out there, I'll not name names, but I know they're really shit with their artists, and but PRS you couldn't ask for any better. It's one of their main things. Their artists are all treated really, really well, and you cannot fault that. Like playing a great guitar is great, but sometimes what's better is the care they take of you. If you're on the road and something goes wrong, I can pick up the phone and call them, and they will sort me out, no problem. Whereas some companies go, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" It's where Bev and the people at PRS and Gavin at the time, nothing is an issue. It's like, "Yep, where do you need the guitar? Done, sorted."
Fantastic.
And I have that same relationship now with Engel amps too. I use their amps, and they're incredible as well. Whatever you need, we'll sort it. And that's nearly better, because when you're on tour and gear breaks and things happen, so you need it to be fixed pretty quickly. And, you know, having that relationship with the company is amazing, you know.
So you won Guitar Player of the Year, you think, whatever, 15. You joined Sweet Savage, legendary Irish band, metal band at the time, Sweet Savage. That must have been a lot of fun. I mean, because they've had, you know, kind of in the, you know, pretty, one of those bands from Ireland that really were very different at the time, I feel, anyway. I was in the band myself for a short period of time. But that was fun when you were 16 joining Sweet Savage?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, I was a 16-year-old kid. That, you know, do you want to join a rock band and do a lot of shows and make records? Yeah, absolutely. You know, so
how did that happen? How did you get in the band?
Well, again, my dad is has a lot to do with, you know, me being here. You know, because he's the one that took me to all these gigs. You know, like I remember in Belfast, like the Air Eagle and the Rosetta Bar and stuff like that years ago. He took me to all these, and you know, somehow got me in, because technically I wasn't allowed to be in them because I was underage.
Sure.
And but through that we met like Remy and all the guys and stuff. And ever since I met Remy, everybody calls him Ray. Somebody calls him Remy, but
I call him Remy, but yeah.
Yeah. But ever since I met Ray, we just got on really well, and you know, we're still kind of great friends to this day. And you know, with the Savage stuff, I was a kid, and I remember doing the first record with them, and we did it in Newcastle. Like I was 16 or something like that, and doing tours. And for me, it was incredible, you know.
And he had some big shoes to fill. Vivian Campbell, obviously from Def Leppard, was the guitar, the founding member of the band with Ray.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was Viv was a great player, and but yeah, it seems to be always the case for my career. I'm always having to fill somebody's shoes, great shoes. You know, Sweet Savage, it was Vivian Campbell. You know, and Snake Charmer was Mickey Moody, and now it's with Deep Purple. It's the long list. It's like, oh, why can't I just get a, you know? Anyway, but it's
don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
I know. I'm not. I'm totally 100% grateful. But now Savage was great. You know, I still work with him to this date. You know, obviously, I can't.
You worked on the new album. I mean, that's fantastic, by the way, because you recorded that at your studio, didn't you?
Yeah, I recorded it and, you know, produced it.
Sounds
did
fantastic,
a lot,
dude. Really well done on the record.
Oh,
amazing.
cheers. So it's, you know, as I said, I'm great friends with Ray, and so it's kind of like when I work with Ray, it's always hilarious. It's just fun, you know, and that's it's obviously at the minute I can't do a lot of stuff with Sweet Savage because I'm always away with Purple and stuff like that. And but it was, you know, I believe everybody's career or life, you know, it's a path, and you know, you never regret anything. You know, the Sweet Savage thing was the kind of one of the starting points of my whole career. You know, from doing that, I moved on to, you know, touring with Andrew Strong from the Commitments and stuff like that, which was completely mad, going from this metal band to soul.
R&B.
Yeah, so being the centre of attention with all the guitar shred stuff to here's 2 chords, sit there in the background and play it. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it was crazy, but you know.
So what made you do that jump to Andrew Strong? Because it is very different, and it's a very, like, guitar in that world is very part of the blend, you know.
Well, the thing is with Andrew is, his favourite music is metal. Believe it or not. Like, and I knew his drummer, Eddie McElduff, at the time. And so Eddie kind of, they're looking at new guitars, and Eddie kind of got me down there. And I got on well with Andrew because, you know, similar interests in music. You know, he's a great player himself, guitarist. And so we got on really well. And I think if Andrew had a choice, he'd just do a hard rock gig all the time, you know, because he did this album which was never released, and I remember he let me hear it once. It was mind-blowing. It was like it wasn't soul music or anything, it was just hard rock. But Andrew has the voice for it, and it's just, wow, it was like Soundgarden or something like that. It was unbelievable. But because Andrew was in the movie The Commitments, and so the record company, whatever, I don't know what happened, but it was put away and never to be seen again. But it was strange going from Savage to the Andrew Strong thing, because, as I said, guitar in the Savage thing was the dominant thing. And then with Andrew's band, it was like, you know, there's like 7, 8 people in the band, you know, brass section, keys, and another Andrew played guitar too, and backing vocals and whatever. So my job was just to sit in the background and play rhythm guitar, which was great for me. I really, really needed that because it taught me discipline, you know, and it also taught me when I was on stage, because Andrew is sort of a guy, he will improvise on the spot. He would go somewhere.
Sure.
Just keep your wits about you at all time, and keep your eyes focused on Andrew, because you don't know where he's going to go. And but it was great for me to just learn that simplicity, and the more I did that,
Getting in the pocket.
yeah, just when you figure out, and that's why I was talking about earlier about the simple riffs and stuff like that. They're harder to play. And I think that's what taught me how to be able to play the simple riffs. It's the years of playing with Andrew and just playing simple stuff, and it's just about the riff and it's about the whole, because you're trying to get 7, 8 people to lock in together. And for me, that was a great learning experience to do all that sort of stuff. And you know, I went further and listened to a lot of the older soul music and figured out, and that's when you realize a lot of the guitarists in those bands are unbelievable. Just what they play, it's completely different to rock or metal, you know, but for that style of music, it's incredible. So I learned a lot from that as well.
And then after that, you formed Blind Friday, was it?
Blind Friday, yes.
That was your own solo thing. Did you feel like you needed to take control of things?
Well, that was a band thing, really. You know, it was me and a bunch of guys. I'd done the Andrew thing for so long, and you know, it came to the stage where we just parted ways because these things happen.
Sure.
And so I did Blind Friday, which was me and a bunch of my mates. We did that for a while, but it's always very hard in a band situation, and I never really was fully happy in it. I love doing it, I love music, but there's, you know, you have 4 or 5 personalities and 4 or 5 opinions all the time about everything. And it's like,
And you know what they say about opinions.
yeah. And so it's like, it got to the stage for me, I was just like, you know, I can't do this anymore, I've had enough. You know, we didn't really do anything, you know, we made a record or whatever, but again, it's that old thing, it's hard to really break a new band, you know, especially in Ireland, you know, for us. But anyway, so I kind of had enough of the band thing, you know, so it's just, I just want to be my own boss,
Sure.
you know, for a while. So that's when I started doing my own thing. And I remember just sitting in my house, picked up the guitar and just started. I said, whatever comes out, comes out. That's it. You know, because I didn't know what, because I'd done the metal thing, done the soul thing, done the Blind Friday thing, which was kind of more modern rock kind of a thing. I was like, I'm just going to play whatever. And I started writing sort of bluesy rock things. And then...
And did you really discover your own voice then as well? Because you got a great voice.
Oh, thank you. I never really sang. I always sang like sort of backing vocals now and again, but I never really sang. And it was very... I remember the first time I sang and I recorded and went, this is horrendous. But everybody hates their own voice when they first hear it, you know?
That's true.
So I just started writing stuff, and I recorded maybe 3 or 4 tracks, which was my first record, Rich Man Falling. And I sent it to a bunch of record labels, and there was one person who got back. That was it. And it was Richard Pavitt from Eugene Records, and Richard sort of became my manager for a long time. And but Richard was great. He, you know, he's the only one that kind of put his neck on the line and said, right, I think you've got something, let's do it. And we did. And I was doing pretty well for a while, you know, and it was going pretty well. And but yeah, singing was, for me, it's not my favorite thing in the world to do. You know, I mean, I'm, as I said, normally you fall in love with one thing, and that's guitar. If you fall in love with an instrument, it's usually one. It's, you know, people can play second instruments and they're very good at it, but their first instrument is what is the thing they love. But so singing for me, even to this day, when I come home from a tour, I don't sing for like 6, 7 months or 8 months until the next tour starts or whatever. It's not something I like, because you know, there's so many great singers out there, and I'm going, well, I'm just okay. You know, I don't have the huge range of, say, Gillan or any of these guys, and You know, and people say to me, why did I not sing on the Deep Purple gig? And I go, you really want me to stand beside one of the greatest singers on the face of the earth and open my mouth? Not a mission. Not a mission.
You don't do any BBs on the Deep
I do like one. That's about it, you know. And that's not even. It's just him and me standing on one microphone, old school rock and roll kind of vibe.
Who does the harmony on Burn?
Well, we don't play Burn, you know.
I
So Gillen, we don't do that stuff. You know, you can understand why. You know, it's just it's a different thing for him, different way of singing.
Coverdale song for a start.
Yeah, it's. But anyway, we'll not go into that. So yes,
Moving on swiftly.
Yes, move on. But yeah, singing for me was always just a second thing. I just thought, you know what, I need to, if I'm going to be the boss, I need to sing. I need to play guitar and sing, and that's what I did for years and that. And it was a lot of fun, you know. Yeah, as you know, you're a singer, so it's like when you first hear your voice for the first time, you go, I am terrible. And everybody does it.
Yeah,
Every single person does it.
True.
But what people have to realize, you just have to. Your voice will change over time. It's like playing a guitar for the first time. It sounded horrendous when I picked up a guitar for the first time. The more you learn how to use it and play it, the more learn how to use your vocal cords. It gets better and it changes, and you can manipulate it a little bit to sound different. And so I always believe everybody can sing. You know, not everybody's going to be, you know, Gillen or Robert Plant or whoever, but it's just everybody has a voice. And you know, it's like Lukather. He doesn't like him. He thinks he can't sing, and I go, well, "You're fucking brilliant, man." You know, Tambu, the Toto album, it's amazing. You know, and Kingdom of Desire and all that stuff. So actually listening to Steve sing, I was like, well, he's doing it, so I want to give it a go. And I wanted to sing like Steve. I wanted to sound like him, because he always reminded me of like Paul Rodgers in a way, a little bit. So I wanted to do that, you know, and so I did that for, I don't know, I did about 4 albums, I think, with that. You know, my last solo album I did with Eugene was, I think it was 2012, I think, something like that. I can't remember, but I've done a few since that. I did my album called The Fighter.
That was with Ear Records, yeah?
Yeah, it was Ear Music, and I did that one, and another one called Recordings, which was a bunch of live stuff and a bunch of cover stuff, which you recorded as well. So, but those 2 records never really got the chance to do much because I couldn't really tour them because this band got in the way. You know, Deep Purple, you know, how dare they?
Nuisance.
Yes, pain in the butt, you know.
Fun question. Worst gig, best gig?
Okay, I'll go. The best gig so far for me was we were playing in South America, and it was a part of a Monsters of Rock tour we were doing with Kiss and the Scorpions and that. And there was like 70, 80,000 people in the stadium.
Wow.
And I just remember starting Highway Star, and it was just like the noise, not us, the audience. Like,
Amazing.
and you could tell the 80,000 people singing every single word of Highway Star. Louder than us. I have a video on my phone somewhere, and it's incredible. You can barely hear us over the noise of the audience. But they're all singing. It's not like it's just pure noise. I was going, this is unbelievable. And I even think Gillen, after his years of seeing everything, he was a little bit, God, I haven't seen this in a while, but because for over there, they love music, and it's still part of their blood.
Yeah, it's in their DNA.
Yeah. So that would be my best gig. Worst gig? This is always a tough one. People have asked me this before, but I can't remember ever having a really bad gig.
Or something terribly going wrong equipment-wise, or...
Well, I remember doing one gig in London, actually, and I was very naive and very stupid, but I remember something was going wrong with the pedal board, and I started kicking it around the stage in bad temper, and I was like going, and after the gig I was like,
nobody saw the funny side.
What are you doing? You know what I mean? But so I don't do that anymore. I don't kick things around or throw tantrums. So it's, but yeah, that was probably the worst gig I did. Because everything was just going wrong. Just sign wasn't right. Pedal stopped working, everything, and so the gig was it wasn't a complete disaster. We got through it, but that was probably the worst one. But it was all down to me,
Sure. So
How do you feel your relationship has changed with music since you started out to now?
I think it's changed, but it's stayed the same a little bit. I wish today I could listen to more music. I find I never really get a chance to listen to much music, because there's so much great music out there. But it's hard to find a lot of the great music. I know people say it's easier to find with Spotify and Apple Music and all this sort of stuff, but you go into that and it's just like there's thousands of bands, and like, well, which one do you start with?
Yeah.
You know, you need some sort of refinement to figure out, well, is this good or not good or whatever. But I always love music, and I still always love music, and I think it's more my appreciation of all types of music these days. When I was a kid, narrow-minded, 80s rock, everything else was shit. No, I remember when grunge came along, hated it. Hated it. Just because it done away with guitar. And I was like, well, the guitar was still there, but it was just all the shred stuff was gone. I was like, I don't like this. This is terrible. It's terrible. And now when I listen to it going, that's unbelievable. It's amazing what they did. Soundgarden, I'm just unbelievable. Nirvana, it's incredible. But I think when you get old, but that just could just be getting older. You had, you're wiser, and well, I say wiser, I wouldn't use that term too good with me. But I just have an appreciation for all types of music now. You could, play me a Taylor Swift song, I'll find it good in it. If it's not my sort of music, I'll find, no, that's actually really good. It's, it's simple, it's whatever, it's catchy, I can see why people like it or whatever. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but
As
I always
I've often
find something.
said on the show, there's only two types of music, good and bad, really.
Yeah.
In every genre.
Yeah, that's it. I don't care who it is. If it's good, I'll listen to it, So I think that's how I've changed, whereas years ago it was like, not listen to that just because of what it was, But now I'm just like, I'll listen to anything. There's a new band I was listening to the other day called Turnstile. They're amazing. I think they're out of Baltimore, I think.
Sure,
but
I'll have to check them out.
It's like they're everything. It's like, starts off with big synth keyboard sounds, very atmospheric. Then it'll break into this hardcore punk rock thing. And then it'll go into some jazz thing, but great vocal melodies and everything. They're incredible. That's how they've molded all this different styles of music, but it's made it sound like one. It's their own unique thing now. So, but
I was listening to the War on Drugs this morning. Do you ever listen to the War on Drugs?
No.
Fantastic. I'll send you a link.
Yeah.
It's just a little different, but they've been around a while, but it's just great for the morning.
Right.
It's a good morning record, but it's rock, but it's got lots of different things. I'll send you over a couple of links. We should finish up, but you've got a big tour ahead.
Yes.
With Purple starting in April.
Yes, we go to Japan in April. In Japan, Indonesia, and Kazakhstan in April. Yeah.
And then after that?
After that, there's about a 6-week break, which I think we're doing some promo and stuff for. But then June right through to December, it's basically
the world
non-stop. We do a lot of stuff in Europe, and then we go to America. We do the East, West Coast or whatever, and then back to Europe again. And then South America in December as well. So that takes us right up to the 19th of December.
Do you think you'll write a new album with Purple?
Well, there's one coming out in June.
Okay.
So we did it.
Finished? Is it all done and dusted?
Yes, it's all done.
Who produced that?
Well, Bob Ezrin has produced the last 5-6 Purple albums now. So
Sure.
Bob's great. He's a brilliant guy, brilliant producer. And it's really, really cool to work with him. He's different. The modern producers. Bob's just like, he just knows how to get the best out of you. I don't know how he does it. He just has this knack of getting the best out of musicians. He's just great. He's really good to work with, but he's very accommodating too. If you have a suggestion or something, okay, well, let's try it. But he'd be brutally honest. I don't like it. Okay, fair enough. But that's what you need. You really need somebody. That's what a producer's for. You produce a lot of stuff. You need somebody to go, I don't like that, or or that's great. It's the decision maker. And Bob is. And
the artist has to have the confidence in that decision as well.
Yeah, but no, I really like working with Bob. He's a lovely guy, and I get on really well with him.
Have you got a title for the album yet, or is it?
I can't say
secret,
nothing. I shouldn't even be talking about it, but you know,
exclusive out
yes.
there. So, last question before we wrap up: your 5 favorite guitar riffs of all time, and we have an amp here, and we have a guitar. we take a slight break, and we just set that up, and maybe Simon could play us his 5 favorite, just for fun. No pressure, just guitar riffs that influenced you and that you still love to this day.
Five riffs.
5 riffs, top 5.
Oh yeah, I got to do Thunderstruck.
Yeah.
My son plays guitar. That's all he plays. Yeah. I suppose I could do the. Yeah. Venus. What was the other one that did? Trouble. What do you call that song?
It was rock and roll Led Zeppelin as well, or?
Yeah. Wasn't a fan of that one. It was, it's good. Yeah.
Great to sing.
Yeah. And then there's so many.
Hendrix?
Hendrix. There's a little fire on it. That's a cool one. Yeah.
Your Plek is coming,
It's coming, yeah.
as the actor said to the bishop.
Just trying to think of the other ones which are. Well, I can play the first
A
one.
Lukather one, maybe?
Oh, yeah, there's the old fucking.
What was that?
It's called On the Run. It's one of the, not the most famous track, but I just always thought the riff was great. He has so many great riffs, though. You know, what do you call it? The album Kingdom of Desire. There's that one. And it was also the solo records.
Here's a Blackmore. Please, could I just have it back? This is from Danny Harrison. It's a collectible.
All right.
From Peters.
George's son.
All right. That was actually called Party in Simon's Pants. So yeah, I'll play that one, yeah.
Okay, so top 5 guitar riffs of all time, Simon McBride.
Top 5, okay, so I could play, I always remember defining moment in my career was hearing Van Halen's 5150, that riff, you know, that
Fantastic.
just because of the use of chords other than power chords, you know.
Sure.
What else have we got? Well, AC/DC, I loved everything they did, you know, and my son will love this one because he loves this track. It's just, I always remember playing Thunderstruck. I know. I remember seeing it twice when they did that. It was like, oh, this is incredible. I'll have to play. Well, I have to play the obvious, you know, that. There's probably somebody on YouTube going, "You're playing it wrong. Ritchie played it like this." I don't care. Then what else?
3, is it, or 2?
I've done 3, is it?
Yeah,
I've done
number-
another 2. Well, it's the old, you know, Zeppelin. I probably played it wrong, but yeah. Oh yeah, there's a. I have to do a Steve Lukather one, and it's actually quite appropriate because the track is called "Party in Simon's Pants." So, not about me; I think it's about Simon Phillips. You know, the drummer at the time. It's like a.
If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love if you could let us know by liking, commenting, or by sharing. Thanks so much.
It's a cool riff, and it's in 5/4, which makes it even more special. So yeah, that would be my top 5 that I can think of at the minute. There's lots. I can go to free, I can go to bad comedy, I can go all the different stuff, but that's enough.
Thank you. Simon McBride, thank you so much for doing the show, man.
No problem.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun. Cheers.